joined SaaStock a little while ago and are a part of their founder circles. It's been absolutely brilliant for us. We first came into it to further our community, our reach, our network, and to learn from some of the world-class speakers that SaaStock has come and speak. And I have to say, it has been absolutely superb for us.
Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. Manoj Agarwal is a co-founder and product of marketing at Xoxoday. Welcome, Manoj.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me in this session. Pleasure to meet everyone who might be listening to this session again.
Yeah, great to have you here, Manoj. So, where are you dialing in from?
I am dialing in from Bangalore in India.
A great SaaS scene in Bangalore. Are you part of any sort of mafia of former SaaS companies like the current SaaS companies like Zoho and things like that? Do you have a background in working for one of the big like Indian SaaS companies?
Not a SaaS, but I was part of Flipkart, which is the Amazon equivalent in India, and I was part of the team very early on when they started. Very
cool. And now, obviously, the co-founder of Xoxoday, but we're going to talk a little bit about the growth because there's been some great growth there. First of all, let's start with you. We know that you previously worked at Flipkart, but you as a person, tell us a little bit about who is Manoj Agarwal.
I'm a very simple person who is trying to build a global SaaS company. I'm married to a lovely wife, and I have a son around 7-year-old. I come from a joint business family, typically known as the Marwadis in India. And if you see, most of the very popular startups in India come from the Marwadi business community in India. And I've been raised into a joint family in the Rajasthan area in India. And the value system of a joint family is very different from how nuclear families are raised. So you co-live with a lot of people, you share things together, you understand each other very well. So those kind of values have stayed with me over these years. And that has also helped me building this company, because as a founder, you come across so many different types of people. And how do you carry along your people together helps you a lot. Apart from that, my family being a business family, so I naturally got the knack to understand the nuances of business, the grind of a startup with a long-term view, and really who can understand building a profitable business with frugal funds. So those are things which I've learned from my family. As a person, I love to explore new places. I enjoy different types of food, and a lot of times I take a break and try to travel and know different cultures. I spend a lot of time playing lawn tennis, sometimes badminton, and then also cricket, which is quite popular in India. And I love to read a lot. I read different types of books, and then sometimes watch some documentaries. And then one very popular thing about me is that while I've been doing a lot of technology for the companies I have been working with, but personally I'm very low as a tech consumer myself. I generally don't prefer to use a lot of digital gadgets and so on. So yeah, so that's about me, Alex.
Very cool. So no Apple Watch?
No Apple Watch.
Okay. I've just got mine yesterday. Obviously, not plugging Apple Watches, but I realised that I'm just constantly getting notifications now, which I'm sure that you can turn off. But I was just in a meeting where I'm constantly being pinged with all the different notifications from Stripe and Slack and email, and it was a huge distraction. So I had to turn the Apple Watch off. Just a little anecdote there. And in terms of the traveling side of things, so actually I just learned, before we started recording, that you said you've been to SaaStock in Dublin in 2019, but also SaaStock in Australia as well, which is maybe I knew, but perhaps I've forgotten over the last couple of years. And on that, we were saying, SaaStock is coming back to Dublin this year, which we're very excited about. So it's kind of good to know. You say you're a reader. What about like your? Could you maybe give like favorite business book that you've read, or do you read more business books than, let's say, other types of books, sort of fiction or non-fiction?
So I typically keep a good mix of different types of big books, because if you just keep reading business books, then you are very tuned to only one dimension of life. So I generally enjoy a very multidisciplinary kind of reading habit. And some of my favorites have been a very recent book from Naval Ravikant, which is basically the almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's a fantastic book. I read Charlie Munger's Almanac also. Again, a great book. I mean, that would be a recommendation for every single entrepreneur in the world. And then I've read Inner Engineering from Sadhguru. Sadhguru is a very famous spiritual leader in India.
Yeah,
I enjoy a lot of readings and sessions from him, and I've been reading a lot of his books.
Very cool.
Yeah, so the list is big, but yes, some of the favorites.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't read the Naval either, or any of those books. Naval Ravikant, Almanac. But a good reminder, put it on the list. Charlie Munger. Need to have a look at that. And I was listening recently. I think Sadhguru was on the Joe Rogan podcast sort of recently, and we're about halfway through that. But good to know. But I am one of those one-dimensional people. Unfortunately, at the moment, like I only read business books, and I do know that I need to kind of veer away from that, because I do agree with you. But one of my colleagues, Will, is just constantly on at me to read non-business books. But I've struggled to break that habit, but hopefully soon. But going on to the next question, Manoj. So you've as we learned, worked at Flipkart, but are one of the co-founders of Xoxoday, which is spelled Xoxoday. So I want to get a bit of a story around that and the name. But why did you found the company? I don't know if you left from Flipkart to Xoxoday, but what was the founding story? If you can share that with us, and what's the story behind the name? How did you settle on the name?
Yeah. So the name is an interesting conversation. So I left Flipkart way back in 2012, and I could see that the Indian internet business boom was picking up very well, and I could see that gifting and gift cards were forming quite a percentage of their revenues. And similarly, my co-founder, who was then working with Metro Cash and Carry, which is a German company, he also found that the private label business, apart from the branded products, was picking up very well in India. So two of us, we came together, and then we toyed on different ideas, and then we boiled down to launch something which is solving the problem of experiences and activities in India. Now, and then the reason why we started that was because we found that gifting and rewards in India were all the same traditional stuff like t-shirts, mugs, and something which nobody likes to get. So we wanted to bring a very novel dimension into that entire rewards and gifting business, that, hey, can we do something which the person will really love and really love to kind of spend time and money on. So we were trying to build a huge marketplace of experiences and activities, and the word Xoxoday, the way it came was over a conversation with my wife, that, hey, we are looking for some unique and kind of good name which can stay with the people. And that is how suddenly we came across this name. The idea was that Xoxo is basically hugs and kisses in the colloquial way. And what we are trying to do is that, how can we bring love and affection in the day-to-day for people? Just like you have a Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, why not also have a Xoxoday? And then bring smiles and love to the lives of people. That is how we came up with this name.
Very cool. And where did you meet your co-founder? Did they also work at Flipkart? And from the point when you sort of came up with the idea to then actually getting the business launched, what were the kind of the timescales and some of the things you needed to go through to make that happen?
I and my co-founders, we did not know each other. So I met my co-founder Sumit initially through a very common close friend. His name is Gokul Gandhi, and he has been working with Pepsi and Apple and then so on. So he connected both of us, and both of us had that equal mindset that, hey, we have to start something of our own. We both came from business families, and we really wanted to crack a company ourselves. And later, two more people joined us in the journey. One is Abhishek. Abhishek came from the same city as Sumit. And then the fourth person, Kushal. Kushal was doing a small internship under me during Flipkart. He's younger than us. And when we started this company, he reached out to me that, hey, can I also be part of your growth story? And then can I also join you guys in the early days? So that is how we four of us started. And even after a decade, we are together. I think this has been very beautiful for us that through thick and thin we have been together, and that has somehow kind of helped us navigate those uncharted territories which you come across in a startup. And I think that has been giving us strength day in, day out to kind of take on anything which comes as a surprise in a startup journey.
And are you bootstrapped? Are you venture backed? What's your routes there to growth?
So we have been bootstrapped till last year. We have been founders who always wanted to grow the business with frugal funds, got the right product market fit, and we have been profitable for most of these years. We kept on growing year on year. But we raised a fund this year. We raised around $30 million from a private equity. Now, the funds which we raised this year are not to just run our business, because we are quite good in our day-to-day expenses. The main idea of this funding was that we already have a solid product market fit. We have been growing quite well. Our products have been appreciated by a lot of clients globally. So why not accelerate the growth, accelerate the customer acquisition? So that is the idea. So how can we expand globally better than how we were doing it in the past?
Very cool. Talking of product market fit, so you mentioned that you found it. How long did it take you to get there? And what were some of the things you needed to do to get to product market fit?
There are two stories behind our journey. So in the early 3 to 4 years, as I mentioned, we were trying to do an experiences and activities marketplace in India. Something very similar to what a Klook or a Get Your Guide or a Viator has done in the international markets. So we were trying to do that in India because India seemed to be a very big country for that. But while doing that in India, we realized that both the supply side as well as the demand side are extremely fragmented. There was lack of supply, there were lack of digitization in the entire space. And on the demand side, the consumer were extremely price sensitive. So, and even today, if we talk about 2022, things have not changed in that business. Airbnb also tried to do that business in India, but could not really do it in a big way. So we kind of pivoted from that business somewhere around early 2017. But what we were also doing during those 4-5 years were that we were trying to sell these experiences and activities in the form of rewards in the enterprises. And then that gave us a very early understanding and some kind of inputs that the entire rewards, incentives, benefits, and loyalty space in the B2B world is still underserved. I mean, There are not many great solutions out there. Most of the companies have been legacy service led. There were not many companies who were very product first in their approach. And that is when in 2017, we went full on into this entire space of, we call it ripples, basically rewards, incentives, perks, payouts, loyalty, and engagement. Trying to cover different use cases around rewards and incentives for employees, channel partners, sales, and consumers. And today we are doing 3 products by the name Plum, Impulse, and Compass. And we have been growing very well in all these 3 products. Close to around 2,000 clients today globally, and we are acquiring almost like 50 new customers every month.
How do you acquire these new customers? What are your kind of main channels to get the new customers?
Initial days, we were very sales led. So we were reaching out through our network, through LinkedIn, through a lot of typical account based marketing. So it was more outbound. And then we were also attending a lot of relevant conferences and events in our industry. But then somewhere around 2019, we started focusing a lot on a very marketing and product led growth, where we started having self-serve and DIY capabilities in our product. So the PLG started working very well for us. And we started, so all our SMB customers today, without any sales support, are able to sign up and get started on the product themselves. And for the mid and enterprise customers, we do some sales intervention if they need some help, some demos, and so on. And today the marketing is across the typical SaaS funnel, which is top of the funnel, middle funnel, and then bottom of the funnel. And things like Google AdWords have been working very well for us. We have somehow cracked the code of Google AdWords and getting a lot of mileage out of it. And then search engine optimization is also quite working well for us. We are focused a lot on content marketing, taking a thought leadership in the entire space, because we did a lot of research and found that this entire industry has been very sales led and sales driven. And nobody really did a lot in terms of creating relevant content for the users, helping the users with their problems and so on. So we took that kind of an approach, a typical, I would say, a HubSpot kind of an approach, by creating a lot of educational content. And then that really is paying off very well in the last 2 years. It helped us a lot.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. I think, as I understand now, that you've got at a great sort of milestone at 8 million ARR. So congrats on that. But if we break it down from 0 to 1 million, what would you say, some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, and how did you overcome them? And the same question from, let's say, 1 to 8 million in ARR. If we could split it into those kind of 2 buckets, it would be great to understand.
I think for every startup, the journey from 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 is quite different, and it was the same for us. In the 0 to 1 journey, we were in the micromanagement kind of a position, where we as founders entered into every single thing and trying to do everything ourselves. And then when we went from 1 to 10, we started building the teams, getting the right leadership team, so that they can take some of the things and drive those things themselves. Now, some of the critical challenges which we faced in the 0 to 1 journey, number one was, how do we compete against some of the popular brands in the global markets? Because we were nobody, we were very tiny. Getting contracts without having that brand name was definitely a challenge. The second challenge was we started our business from India, and India has not been the best paymasters when it comes to SaaS. Though things have changed in the last 2 or 3 years after the pandemic, but otherwise, the buying appetite for softwares in India is not so much. So that was another challenge, that how do we increase our ARR and the SaaS revenue, being an India first company. And the third thing was, being a bootstrapped company, it was always a tight ship to managing the cash flows, making things very, very frugal, finding out very innovative ways to kind of do the right spends in the right places. So, but all these things helped us get that natural resilience into each one of us. So the founders and the initial core members, we got those typical lessons of frugality and resilience right in the early days, and that really held us in the 1 to 10 journey, because our 1 to 10 journey, and then there was a pandemic in between. We were positively kind of affected by the pandemic, because number one, we were resilient. We were okay to face these unknown kind of challenges. We came together as a team and then could navigate those things. Now, the typical challenges which we faced in the 1 to 10 journey, I think number one was, how do we quickly ramp up ourselves for the global market? So how do we find the right teams, the right technology infrastructure, the right compliances for going global? The second was, how do we manage our CAC, which is your customer acquisition cost, when you acquire customers at scale? That was because we were still bootstrapped. And third was, as we scale, how do we manage a very people-first culture in the company, and then keep that same DNA of frugality and resilience across the team? And then that is where we started taking a different approach in our hiring. So our entire leadership team is built from entrepreneurs, ex-entrepreneurs. So today we are a team of around 300 employees, and out of 300, around 40 are ex-entrepreneurs. Now, that has been a great way of kind of navigating this entire 1 to 10 journey for us.
Oh no, so very cool. And having 40 ex-entrepreneurs, within the business, a great, I guess, obviously a nice like cultural fit from the co-founding team to kind of want to work with similar within that. I mean, do you know how many are like entrepreneurs? I don't know whether this matters or not, but those that have had exits versus, let's say, failed entrepreneurs. And yeah, do you have an indication on that? And I guess for you, like, does it really matter whether they're an entrepreneur that tried something, built something, but it didn't work out, versus an entrepreneur that had some success, had an exit, if that's the way that we're going to measure success?
Yeah, so I think the definition of entrepreneur, we generally don't measure by the success or failure, because taking that first step itself says a lot about the character of that person. Mm-hmm. So we generally feel that an entrepreneur is one who has raised series B or C or D, or somebody who is doing a technology startup. But I think somebody who is also running a small cake shop is also a great entrepreneur. So yeah. We kind of measured an entrepreneur by seeing that he attitude first and then aptitude second, because in today's world, I think everyone is born with great aptitude, but attitude is a scarcity. I mean, aptitude is becoming more and more commoditized. There is an information overload everywhere. So our yardstick to choose the entrepreneurs was by, do they have the right attitude? Have they spent a couple of years in their entrepreneurial journey, or have they just given up within few months? And by the way, out of these 40 guys, almost like 10 or 15 have had successful exits. But they just moved on and then joined hands with us because they found our journey very interesting. And I think our DNAs also matched quite a lot, and that is how it progressed.
Very cool. And what about yourself? Like, how have you learned to be a good co-founder and I guess a good entrepreneur as well?
Yeah, so it's always a learning journey every day. I mean, you always keep doing mistakes and then keep learning from them. But having worked for a couple of years myself, I always wanted to think through that. Hey, can I take those learnings which I could observe in companies like Flipkart and Yahoo, where I worked, and try to implement some of those best practices in the company which I am building. So the first thing which worked very well for us in terms of being a great founder is I always looked upon to some of the successful and respected co-founders in India. Also have been speaking to some of the great seniors which I had in my older companies. And we also had one or two mentors with us who have been successful co-founders in the past. So that really helped us to kind of get a holistic view about how to tackle different kind of problems as you progress in your entrepreneurial journey. The second thing which really worked very well for us is that one of our products by the name Impulse itself is about solving the problem of people and culture in different organizations. So while building that product, we went through a lot of reading material around employee engagement, employee experience, and people and culture practices. And that has really helped us a lot because we theoretically understand how to build a great winning culture in a company. And we have tried to practice what we preach to our clients, that hey, it's not only about we selling the product to build this culture, but we have built it ourselves. And if we have built it ourselves, then this product can help build your culture as well. So that entire product building exercise for Impulse really helped us understand the nuances of people and culture practices, that it is not only about throwing away that pizza party or getting a foosball table in the office, but it is more about the different dimensions of employee engagement, whether it is aligning your employees to the roles and goals, listening to the employees, having one-on-one feedbacks, getting the OKR system in place, motivating them with the right rewards. And then that is what our product is doing for our clients. So that was a great learning for us in building the right practices in the company. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that my upbringing has been in a rural joint family in India. And that upbringing from a humble background really helped to stay humble even when we are growing, which is very important virtue in the entrepreneurial journey, that you don't get overwhelmed with the success or with the money which comes on the way.
Well, yeah, on that point, I'm just watching We Crashed, which is the drama about Adam Newman WeWork. Who it seems that he got a little bit carried away, you know, so far from what I've seen in terms of the success of the business, and certainly he didn't stay humble. So definitely great advice there. If you could go back to when you founded the business with your co-founders, from what you know now, what one piece of advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, so I think if I get the chance to kind of change the time machine, there are a lot of things which we can do better. And you can always optimize a lot of things as you have learned during the journey. But one or two very important things which we will I will definitely do is make the right changes a little faster. So I think our pivot from the experiences and activities business to the entire holistic rewards and incentives business, I think we stretched it little too much. We took almost like 4.5 years to 5 years to kind of make that change. But we could sense that the business for experiences and activities doesn't exist in India. So we could have taken that decision little faster rather than stretching it. So kind of failing fast without waiting little too much. And I think the second thing which I would do is that going global little early, because the kind of business we were doing was naturally more fit for the global audience, and spending extra years in India was not helping us. So I would have cut down our time spent in India and might have gone global maybe two years early on. I think these are the two things I would definitely change.
Great advice there. And just a final kind of question: what have been, some of the top resources that you kind of, go to, to help you, on your journey to 10 million ARR?
Yeah, so I am a big believer of that you should always sharpen your mind as much as you can. So there is a famous saying that can you earn with mind rather than earning with time? And you can do that by reading the right resources. So the first thing is that less is more, rather than trying to consume everything and anything, because there is so much information glut out there. So you can be busy the entire day of your life. So can you be very choosy about what you consume in terms of the resources? That is one advice I would have. And rather than consuming derivatives, can you consume original and authentic content? Becomes very important. So some of the resources would be some great books which I mentioned. So keep reading great books, original books, because books are your best friends. Second is, according to the type of business you are in, you can read from that particular industry. So for example, we are in the SaaS industry. So I love reading from the greats like, say, the Basecamp founders, the HubSpot founders, the Intercom founders. They have written something very, very, very valuable. And then thanks to a lot of communities like SaaStock, Reforge, there is a very famous community called SaaS Boomi in India. Thanks to these communities that you've got the best people together where we can learn and figure out the right solutions very fast. Because it's not easy to get in touch with these great minds which are part of these communities. So I think some of these things together should help a lot. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that it depends upon the interest of the person, but it's always good to have multidisciplinary consumption of content rather than just reading about business, because it gives you very different perspectives in life.
Very cool. What a great place to end the show. Where can people find you and Xoxoday online, Manoj?
Yeah, so I'm not very active on Twitter, etc. But people can reach out to me on my email, manoj@xoxoday.com, and you can always connect me via LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, Manoj Agarwal, co-founder of Xoxoday, thank you so much for joining the SaaS Revolution show, and congrats on the great success so far of Xoxoday, and looking forward to seeing more on your journey. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Alex.